My name is Samuel. Welcome to Make Excel Easy. On this video section, I will explain data validation. Now, let's get started. Open your worksheets on cell B2. Let's type this. How many glasses of water do you drink per day? Let's put question mark. Okay, so now let's adjust the width and let's wrap the text. Wrap the text and let's put it center and let's adjust it so that we can see that it's already at center. Now on cell C2, now let's put it center also. On the data ribbon, now let's click on the data validation in the data tools group and let's click on setting, and we have the data validation. Let's choose whole number. Here let's pick between and let's set minimum values to 0 and maximum values to 10. Okay, so now before we click OK, let's go to input message. Okay, the title, let's just type this and our input message. Please enter a whole number between 0 and 10. Before we click OK, let's set the error alerts. So now let's click on the error alerts. On style, I will use stop, then I will enter not a valid number for the title. Then my error message will be, are you drinking too much? We can now click on OK. So now let me test it. So on C2, let me enter 0, press enter. You see now 1, press enter. So now let's put 10, press enter. Let's put 22. Wow, I have the error. Are you drinking too much? So I can click on cancel or I retry. So now let me click on cancel and let's retry that. Let me put minus 25. Still have the same error message. That means the value must be between 0 and 10. Okay, so now let's try another thing. Data rejection. So on cell C3, so I will type dates, then I will select the cells that I want to validate. Then I can now click on data tabs, then I will choose data validation. So I have the data validation dialog box, then I click on the settings. So now I can click on the dates. So my date is going to be between, so I'm going to start the date with today's dates by pressing Ctrl column. Then I will put the end date by using today's function equal to today, bracket open and bracket close, plus 7. No, let me use 5. That means 5 days away from today. So now let's click on input message and let's enter the title and my input message. All dates outside this range are rejected. So now I can click on error alerts. So my style will put on stop, then my title we put dates, the error message. So I will put the dates shouldn't be more than 5 days from today. So once I'm done, I will click OK. So now let's test it. So I will click here. I put today's dates by pressing Ctrl column. So I have that. Let me change the year. I have error. Let's retry. So I can change the month to 1, then the date to 4. Press enter. I don't have error. Let me change the date to 5. So I have error. Okay, So now let's improve on this. Okay, so now let's go back to data validation. So still on the setting. So now this time around I'm going to choose the custom. Okay, so I'm going to customize this. So I will put equal to and bracket open the weekday. So my cell C4, then right, bracket close, not equal to 1, which is Sunday. Okay, comma, I will put comma, then I will enter weekday, bracket open, then my C4, bracket close, not equal to 7, okay, which is Saturday. Then I will close the bracket, then I'll click OK. So the Saturday and Sunday has been excluded, which is 1 and 7. So now let me test that. So I will change the months to 1 and the days to 4. Press enter. Let me change this to 1. Okay, change this to 2. Okay, let me change this to 3. Okay, let me change to 4. Can you see? So I have the error message. So now let me correct the error message. So I'll come back to data validation. So I click on that. So I will click on error alerts. So I will now put my error alert message here. Dates cannot be Saturday or Sunday. I'll click OK. So now let me change the date. Day, can you see it? That is Sunday. So now let's change this to 6. No error. Let's change this to 7. No error. Okay, let's change this to 8. No error. Same with 9. No error. 10. No error. So 11, I have error. That should be Saturday. Then 12, I have error. Then 13, no error. So another thing to start with is budget validation. So let me enter party budget here. I have balloon, confetti. Okay, I have cups, I have drinks, I have cake, then snacks, ice cream. Okay, now let me put total here and let's put the figure. Okay, the amount here. Okay, so before we total it, let me bold the heading. Come to home tab, then bold, then let me put it center. All right, so now let me highlight the range or the price, then let me put the $sign and let's sum all this together. So I use equal to sum bracket open. So now let me select this range and close the bracket, then I will press enter. So I have the summation. So now I want to validate the budget. So now I want to validate all this so that by the time I sum all this together, it should not be greater than a particular value. To do that, I will click on data validation. Then I have data validation dialog box. Then on the setting tab, I will go and click on custom on the allow. Then on the formula, I will enter this formula equal to, then sum bracket open. Then I will select the range. So now once I select the range, then I will turn this range from to absolute reference. So now I have done that. Then I will close the brackets. So the sum of this range, of this selected range, should be less than or equal to 100. So once I've done that, then I can click on input message, or let me just go down to the error alerts, and instead of title, let me give it error. Then let's change this title to warning. Okay, so I can error message, I can put the budget is above the target, then click OK. So now I have that. So now let me just add a value. Can you see the sum is bigger than my budget? Okay, the budget is above that, so I'll click yes. So that means that I force it. That's why I change this to warning. So now let's change this. Can you see no error because it's less than my budget, which is 100. Okay, I can change that. It's one is above the budget. So then I click on no. That means that I want to change it. So that I click on yes, it will force it. So that is how to do that. Let's have another example. Okay, that is reject duplicate entry. I'm going to use invoice number as an example. So I create an invoice number on this column. For example, let's say I have 1001 and I have another one. Let me enter 1002 or 3, 1005, 1007, 1011. Oh, that's 1011. Correct that. Okay, so now I have 1001, 1012, 1007. Can you see I already have this 1007? So what I will do now is anytime I have a duplicate number, I want computer to reject it. So now let me select the range, the column that I want to use for invoice, then go to the data validation, click on the setting. So now on the settings, so this is what I will do. I will choose custom. So on the custom there I will put this formula can't if bracket open, then I will select the range. After I have done that, then I will convert that to absolute reference by selecting that and press F4. Then I will put a comma, then my second argument, so I will enter E7, then close the brackets. Because this value may only occur once, therefore we are going to put equal to 1. Since we don't want duplicate entry, then we click OK. So Excel automatically copies the formula to the other cell. So can you see it now? It's already copying it to E8. Okay, now let's check again. So now I click on that. I now come back to data validation. Can you see it? It's now turning to E9. Then I will click OK. Let's confirm that. Just press 1007. Then I press enter. Then I have the value you entered is not valid. So that means that there is duplicate in that. So I can close or I can retry. Let me retry. Let me put 1008. Can you see? So that means that there is no duplicate entry again. Okay, let me add input message by going to data validation. So I have the data validation dialog box. Then I click on input message. So I can give it a title. Then I can input my input message. So the number must be unique or already have the number. So I have that. So can you see it? Before I enter, so I already have the input message. So I can enter 1008. So by the time I put that, it's telling me that the number you enter is not valid. So now let's go back to the same place, data validation. So I can uncheck it. If if I don't want it to show again, so I click OK, so it's not going to show. So that does not affect my input. So that does not affect my input. If I put the same thing, so I still have the same error. The value you enter is not valid, so I can change it to 1009. Okay, so now let's do another thing. Let's talk about product code, how to create a product code. So now let's come to this column and let's put product code. Okay, so let me adjust the width. So let's say, for example, I want to have a product code of C001. That means it starts with C with 4 3-digit number from the right. So now if I want to do that, I will select the column range, then I will click on the data validation. On the data validation settings, I come to custom, then I will enter this formula. So now the formula is going to be like equal to, and then I will open the bracket, then I will put left. So then open the bracket, I will enter my reference point, which is I will click on the reference cell, which is F7. Then I will close the bracket, and which must equal to C. I will quote the C. That means that I want my first letter to start with C, then put a comma, then I will put my length. So the length of my product code, and it's going to be 4. So I will enter my reference, which is F7. I open the bracket, I enter my reference F7, close the reference, close that, then equal to 4. That is the length of my text. Then I put its number, then I will open the bracket, put the value, then I open the bracket again, then I can now put my right. So now if I'm counting from the right, I will enter my reference, put that in the bracket. So if I'm counting from the right, it's going to be 3. So I will now close the bracket for the right, then close the bracket for the value, then I will close the bracket for the its number, then I will close the bracket for everything. Okay, so that's the last bracket. I will close the bracket from hand that I used there. Once I'm done that, I can click OK. But I don't want to click OK, I can just click on the error alert. I put the title, then after that I can now enter my error message. The value must start with C, and it must contain and with 3 digits number from the right. So once I'm done, I will just go straight and click OK. So now let's test it. So I have C001, enter. So even when I enter small c, still enter. But once I put the wrong alphabet, it's not going. Or when the number is more than 4 digits or 3 digits from the right, so it's not also going. Now you see it now. So now if I entered, even this is wrong, because it's supposed to be 0 alphabet, not 0. So it'll be O and not number. So once I'm done that, can you see? So that is the way to do that. Let me also explain how to create drop down list in Excel. How to create drop down list in the Excel. So I will create a new sheet. I will call it a menu. I will create another sheet. I will call it list. So on the menu work list, on cell A1, I can have my feed name. So let me type favorite food as my feed name on cell A1. Let me adjust the width. So now on cell B1, and have my list dialog box. Okay, so to do that, So now let me click on my list worksheet. So I click on list worksheet. So on the cell A1 I can have my pizza, A2 I can have my pancake, then on my B3 I can have my shawarma. Okay, so now let's go back to the menu. So click on cell B1 and let's go to data and data validation. So I have the data validation dialog box. So on the allow, so I can now choose the list. So on the list, on the source, so I can link the source down by clicking on the list range. So I click on the list range, I can go back to my menu, then I can resize this. Then once I'm done that, so I will now close the bracket. So once I've done that, so I will open this, then I press OK. So now if you check it now, so I have my menu list appear here. Okay, so if you don't want to do it like that, we can quickly do it like this. Okay, before that, let me just format this and make it look like a feed. So now let's click on cell C1 and let's do it in another way. I come to data validation. So I come here, I click on list. So instead of linking it through the worksheet, I can quickly type it here from the source. So once I'm done that, I will click on OK. Can you see it? I have my yes or no being shown here. So these are the two ways that you can do it. So now let's come back to this. Let's say I type rice, because the rice is not part of my list, it will not enter. But there is a way we can do it to enter. So let's come to the data validation. So let's uncheck the box on the error alert. So uncheck that box. Once you uncheck it, then click OK. So we can now type. So once we type, it will be recorded on the list. Okay, can you see it's already recorded on the list, although it's not adding it to the list here. So there is a way we can do that. So now let's create another row within the rows that we already have. So once we do that, so it's already appear on that place. So now if we did not do it like that, there is a way that we can do it from the list also, assuming that we want to add to the bottom. Let's say we want to add to the last row. Let's say for example I'm adding it here. I'm just adding my text here. So once I had at that place, I come to the menu, it's not going to show. So now there is a way to let it show. I'm going to show you us. Let's go back to the data validation and let's click on the setting and let's improve on the source. Let's add this formula. I'll cancel that. So I will now use offset. The offset function takes 5 arguments. So the first one is the reference. So now I open the bracket, there I will take the reference, which is cell A1 on the list worksheet. Then I will take the next argument, which is the rows to offset is 0, then columns to offset is 0. Then I will now take the height. I will count the number of values that are not 0 by using count A, bracket open. Then I will click on the list worksheet. Then I will select the column by click on the A. Then I close the bracket. I will put comma. Then my width, I will put 1. Then close the bracket. So after that, I will click OK. So I'm done with that. So now let's see. So now I will now check it. Can you see all what I've entered has come up? So if I go back to my list and I had another text to the list, so let me just add 2 or 3 tests to the existing list. So just added fried rice and other food. So I'm done. So now let me just click on the menu worksheet and you can find it there. Can you see just the new added tests I added to the list is already showing. So let's open a new workbook. So now I want to talk about how to use template or create a new template. So now when you open your new workbook, the first
opening page that you see in the workbook. So that is the template. So we have different templates that you can use. You can use a template for calendar, you can use a template for monthly budget, you can use a template for student schedule, you can use a template for any of these, okay, for home inventory, for a single invoice, for weekly attendance, anyone that you want, okay, is already showing on the welcome page of the worksheet. So if you don't have it there, you can also search it online, okay, by search through. When you connect to the internet, you can search. So let's say, for example, I just search for invoice. So I have the different invoice which be showing. So then you can now click on any one that you want. Okay, so you can also check for the categories that you have here. This shows the total number of templates we have in each category. So now we have simple invoice, so we have billing invoice. So now let's take billing invoice as an example. So we can have the preview. So if you are satisfied with that, then I click on create. So it's going to load it into the worksheet. So now I already have the template on the worksheet, so you can edit it. So once you have the billing, okay, we have the billing invoice, then we have the complete setup. So once you are satisfied with it, you can edit it to suit yourself. You can also use it after you have edited it to suit yourself. You can also save it as the template. Okay, to do that, you just click on save as, then you choose the browse, you locate where you want to save it to. Okay, so after you have located where you want to save it to, so now go down. Okay, so let's assume I'm saving it to the desktop. After that, I will choose the exact template. So I have the exact template, so I can rename it, okay, as my billing invoice, so I can save it to use for another time. So let's close this worksheet. Now I'm going to show us how to open our saved template. So now I'm opening my workbook. So on this welcome page, I have the features, then we have the personal. The personal are those templates that we have saved. Can you see? This is the last saved work. This is my last saved work. So I will click on it. Yes, we are here. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.